Doc, welcome and good evening to you.
Thank you so much for hosting me on this platform, and I'm humbled. Thank you so much to our viewers, and it's good to see you in 2026.
Happy New Year.
And Happy New Year to you too.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. It's my pleasure, and I'm thankful to be here.
Thank you so much. Last time we had a conversation, you and I, it must have been a year ago or more than a year ago.
2024.
Thereabout.
Yes.
It was at a time when you had just been released from prison.
Correct.
Wow.
Correct. So that was 2024 in January or February, somewhere there.
Thereabout. Let's get into it. You are now the SG of the Tonse Alliance.
Yes.
Which was held on 28th, that was I think about a week ago.
Correct.
Together with Honorable Brad Munduile, who is now the president of the Tonse Alliance. But a lot, has been said, a lot have been spoken around this convention you held a week ago, with others calling your convention as a sham, as illegal. And then I'm asking myself that Dr. Zimba is one of those highly educated people at a level of a doctor, you yourself.
Not honorary.
Not honorary.
Not honorary.
There you go.
Academic doctor.
There you go.
Meaning somebody works for it. Do research and you graduate with a PhD.
There you go.
Yes.
And you are also a lecturer by profession.
Correct.
The question is, at your level, with all the education you have acquired over the years, you've served as a political advisor to President Edgar Lungu the late. How can you convene an illegal Tonse Alliance which has ushered you now as the SG?
Okay, thank you. So number one is that the General Congress was convened based on the governance document, which is the Constitution, which I have here. The old Constitution of Tonse Alliance, I have it here. The amended one, which is the new Constitution we're using, for 2026, I have it here. So Tonse Alliance, we do not conduct business based on street conversations or verbal agreements. We have governance documents. The General Congress was convened based on our Constitution and duly convened so by the Vice Chairperson then, Professor Dan Pule, through the Office of the National Coordinator then, who was still myself. So going by the old Constitution, which Dr. Edgar Changalungu left us with, the General Congress can only be convened by the chairperson through the National Coordinator, who was myself. The fact that our chairperson...
That is according to the old
Constitution, yes.
Right.
The fact that Dr. Edgar Changalungu who died, may he so rest in peace, our father and our former president, his vice chairperson takes over, going by the old Constitution. So when you read the old Constitution, it provides that in the absence of the chairperson, the Council of Leaders meetings or the General Congress can only be chaired and be convened by the vice chairperson. So Professor Dan Pule was the legitimate and right person to convene and chair both the Council of Leaders meetings we had before the General Congress and consequently the General Congress itself. Others asked the question, what about Honorable Luvinda, who was appointed by ECL when ECL was South Africa as acting chairman of the alliance? That's where the question of either legal or illegal comes in.
Right.
When Dr. Edgar Changalungu left for treatment in January 2025 in South Africa, he left Professor Pule as his vice chairperson to act. The person who was chairing the Council of Leaders meetings in January, February, until March was Professor Dan Pule as his vice chairperson, based on the old Constitution. Honorable Luvinda, SG Nakachinda, and other PF people from the ECO movement and PF, they used to come and attend meetings chaired by who? Professor Pule. But in March, Professor Pule also left for India for medical treatment. So meaning we didn't have both the chairperson and the vice chairperson.
Right.
So we had the leadership crisis or vacuum. The Constitution of the Tonse Alliance still has a solution to that. It indicates that in the absence of the chairperson, ECL, and the vice chairperson, Professor Pule, the Council of Leaders can convene and elect one of its members to chair. So we still had a cure. But that never happened because there were a lot of arguments in terms of who should convene. Should it be by phone, the former president, ECL?
Yeah.
Amidst that leadership crisis of vacuum, ECL appoints Honorable Winda to act in the absence of both himself and Professor Pule.
Right.
But when Professor Pule came back in May from India after treatment, we needed to go back to the constitutional setting where Professor Pule begins to chair those meetings. But Honorable Winda refused to hand over. And when meetings are convened, Honorable Winda wanted to be chairing. So we had the two camps. As national coordinator then and lead consultant, I was asked in terms of who is who between Pule and Honorable Winda. And I said it's Professor Pule because he's the one who is provided for in the constitution. He's the one who was chairing when ECO left. The PF team refused, led by Honorable Winda. So we had now two camps, Sean Tembo, myself, KBF, Professor Pule and others. We insisted on Pule to be chairing. The PF team and of Honorable Winda and team, they insisted for Honorable Winda to be chairing. So within that dilemma, ECO dies. A deeper leadership crisis now entered the alliance. Until somewhere end of October, after a lot of fractured arguments between the two camps, we reconciled and agreed that they should be co-chairing, treated equal in a meeting until we resolve, we could go to the General Congress to elect a new person. So between October until January, they were co-chairing as equals. Any one of them could convene as long as the notice goes to all and the chairs, or both of them chair a meeting.
Right.
But before this General Congress, we had a Council of Leaders meeting in January, which made a position on the PF party. So that Council of Leaders meeting, we sent a note, we were petitioned by our members that they needed to be clear who is a member of the alliance. Is it PF party, which is with Chavinga, and UPND in the alliance, or is it ECO movement? So that motion was moved by civil society organizations within Tonse. They petitioned, and the Council of Leaders meeting was convened to specifically respond. And in the resolutions, we resolved as a Council of Leaders, because by that time the Council of Leaders quorum was 15. So we had more than 23 people participated. Honorable Winda and team, they backed out. Some even exited the Council, because it was a virtual meeting. They exited the group to collapse the quorum. But the quorum was still formed to above 23 as opposed to the requirement of 15. Right. And the reason, and some of the PF members participated. Honorable Kampiongo, Honorable Jean Kapata, Honorable Brian Munduvile, Mtoto Kafwaya, PS Chomba, and many others. They participated. And after 2 to 3 hours deliberations, the Council of Leaders resolved that we should stick to the ECO movement as a member of the Tonse Alliance as opposed to the PF party. Because the PF party is in court with Chavinga, and the PF party is in an alliance with UPND, and the PF party can be brought to Tonse, otherwise it will be fighting the legacy of ECO. It is ECO who left the ECO-PF movement in the Tonse Alliance constitution as opposed to PF party. So when we are convening the General Congress last month, we invited the ECO movement. Right. Pay odd and new constitution. ECO never left PF party in the Tonse Alliance. He refused. He said, let's go to the Tonse Alliance with the ECO movement, because the PF party of Chavinga, when we mentioned it in the Tonse Alliance, they will come and take over the alliance. They will come and destabilize the alliance. So we floated above confusion in Tonse Alliance under ECO, because we never had PF party, we had the ECO movement. Here is the constitution, Article 11. If you read Article 11, it's just a first line. You can read it, maybe to help us.
Right. So Article 11, you're saying that the General Conference shall merely ceremoniously affirm the 2026 presidential candidate, Dr. Edgar Chagwalungu, since the actual adoption would have already been done at the official launch of the Tonse. One, it says even that It is even that it is resolved and agreed that the 2026 general presidential candidate shall come from the ECL Patriotic Front, PF political movement. Dr. Edgar Chagwa shall immediately assume the position of chairperson of the alliance as well as the candidate after accepting his candidate's adoption at the official launch of the alliance to the exclusion of the General Conference, since the Tonse is a moving electoral pact.
Correct.
Okay.
Just there.
Right.
What I wanted to emphasize here is that the member of the Tonse Alliance has never been PF. It was ECL himself in his individual capacity as former president, because his name is in the constitution, as well as his movement, the ECL PF movement. So it is not an illegal convention. It was not an illegal general congress. It was convened based on the governance document, and the people are calling it illegal are the ones who are illegal because they're not members of the alliance. They're not recognized in the alliance. They are political masqueraders. We are the legitimate Tonse Alliance. We are the founders of Tonse Alliance. When we are creating Tonse Alliance, the faces that are calling it illegal, I know them. None of them was on the table when your Tonse Alliance was being formed. I never saw anybody coughing today the word illegal on the table. There was myself, there was ECL, there was Sean Tembo, there was Professor Dan Pule, and by proxy there was Madam Edith Nawakwe. I would mention the 5 key stakeholders behind the formation of Tonse Alliance.
These were the founders of the Tonse
Correct.
Alliance.
The rest, they were just joining later, after ECL assigned me to engage them and present the idea of Tonse Alliance to them. The constitution was already ready and finalized.
You might have left out one important stakeholder in Peter Chanda, who also claims that I was among the founders.
No, it's not.
Right.
It is me who wrote the letter for Peter Chanda to leave UCA to join Tonse Alliance. Ask him. The letter I sent to the media, it was drafted by me. Peter Chanda was in UCA. Just like men, including ECA, they were in UCA. Sean Tembo and me were the original creators of Tonse Alliance. Some people are saying, no, Zimba was sent by ECA or PF. They are lying. It is Sean Tembo came with the idea to me. After Sean Tembo and Professor Pule felt ECA was being embarrassed in UCA. The day President Peter Sinkamba was rejected to join the Council of Presidents in UCA, ECA lost a vote because he moved the motion to accept President Peter Sinkamba to join the Council of Presidents in UCA. In that motion, they asked for voting. ECA's hand was up voting for President Peter Sinkamba of Green Party to join the Council of Presidents of UCA. Pule's hand joined ECA. Sean Tembo's hand joined ECA. The rest didn't lift up their hands. They voted against Peter Sinkamba, and ECA lost vote. After that meeting, Professor Pule and Sean Tembo said, no. We will not stand this embarrassment of the former president. We need something else. Sean Tembo called me. He explained what happened. I said, no. I've always known that UCA is undermining politically our father and our former president. We can create an alliance. We can design it tailor-made for him and all his followers countrywide. That's how we met at Mlungushi Village restaurant, myself and Sean Tembo. We discussed the idea of the name, the concept, justification, the two of us. And he assigned me to draft the constitution, and he went to design the logo. This logo you see, it was designed by Sean Tembo. He paid for it, everything himself. This document, it was done by me. Later on, I engaged my friend Debbie Angola and Caesar Simukonda, the 2 lawyers, to finalize the document. After I worked on it, so you as lawyer, finalize it for me, help me. And the ECO said, yes, let the 2 lawyers help you. When we finalized, we went to present to ECL. This is an alliance tailor-made for you and your followers. We want you to leave UCA because of the political embarrassment. ECL gave a condition. I can only leave UCA if Danny Pule, Sean Tembo, and Edith Nawakwe join me. As the former president, I don't want to destabilize UCA if I just walked out. I need my key allies. These were his 3 key allies in UCA. And I said, Your Excellency, I'm honored to mention to you that Sean Tembo is already on board. I'm working with him, he's the one designing the logo. And he said, I'm very happy. I'll talk to Professor Pule and Madam Nawak. He talked to the two, he convinced them. And he told me and Tembo that the two are on board, therefore let's go ahead. It was the third or fourth subsequent meeting, which call was ECO called at his house in Chifwema. That's where Peter Chanda was called and Rit Musoma. And this new presented Tonse Alliance. So I can say they formed with me, us, when we are presenting the constitution to them. So he's not even a 60th member. He joined like many others who came later. The 5 I'm talking about are the key stakeholders in terms of founding Tonse Alliance. Had Edith Nawak, Madam Edith Nawak refused, had the Professor Pule refused, had Sean Tembo refused, ECA wouldn't have left UKA. There was no mentioning of Peter Chanda. Peter Chanda in UKA was treated as an underdog politician. Right. He was not even sitting in the Council of Presidents. It is the Tonse Alliance Constitution which would design that all political party presidents will be sitting as one in the Council of Leaders. UKA had a political discriminatory structure. If you have never contested the presidential by-election, you can't sit in the Council of Leaders. By virtue of just running a briefcase political party, you are not qualified and fit enough to sit with them. So Peter Chanda was sitting in the kitchen of the UKA leadership structure, not in the bedroom. It was me who told him, no, join Tonse Alliance because you'll be sitting in the Council of Leaders with ECL. And the very day I presented the concept of Tonse Alliance in ECO's house to Peter Chanda and Riti Musoma, they too said we have joined UKA. I said, no, so you should make a media statement tomorrow. He said, no, today. Help me to draft one. It's new drafted for Peter Chanda to leave UKA, to announce that he has left UKA and he has joined Tonse Alliance. The same day, we presented Tonse Alliance project and as an alliance to him and Riti Musoma. To Professor Pule, we're not presenting it for the first time, or Sean Tembo. We are just managing them to create an impression that they are coming with them for the first time. We had already been working with them in the background, me and President Edgar Chagwa. So it's a 5. But to answer your question, it's a 5 key stakeholder I've mentioned. Right. The people are calling that General Congress illegal. They don't even know when Tonse was formed. They don't even have the idea why the name Tonse.
And the team, they do not know when Tonse was formed.
They don't know. They were just brought on board by ECO later on and SG Nakachinda. Because from the PF side point of view, ECO entrusted Nakachinda. He didn't trust his vice president, Honorable Bolovinda. I'll be lying. He said, Zimba, you should work closely with Nakachinda. Nakachinda is going to help me to be bringing them in one by one. Those believe in PF party too much. So if we bring them as a gang, they will destabilize the alliance. So Nakachinda was the focal point person for ECO who he trusted to manage the PF one by one. Because ECO had already told us that we are going to use the ECO PF movement, not PF party. So remember, so we are very careful in terms of managing them. Because some of them, they were submerged in the idea of fighting Chabinga in court. ECO had already graduated because he felt betrayed when Mao Samba grabbed the party from him and he threw it in the hands of the UPND and HH. So ECO, even by the time he was going to UKA, he never went with PF. He went as a movement, ECO PF movement. He went as himself with his followers. He was sitting in UKA as the Edgar Chagwa. And he started poaching his PF loyalists into UKA one by one. He never wanted to do PF as a party. Honorable Mompini, for example, she was poached and put in UKA by ECL. He recommended her. Aline Dipiri from Central Province, he poached her again from PF, put her in UKA. Had UKA cooperated with ECL, ECL wanted to migrate his loyalist members countrywide from PF into UKA. They would have become UKA members. So when we are creating Tonse Alliance, that's the framework still was using. Not everyone was interested. I've seen Professor Luo now claiming to be Tonse Alliance. She was not on the table. I've seen Madame Jean Kapata. It's quite shameful for her even to pronounce the word Tonse. She was not on the table. She doesn't even know when it was formed and how. I've seen Mao Sampa. The man who sold PF from the hands of PF members and ECL, he threw it in the hands of HH and the UPND. Politically, the man betrayed his own PF members and the former president. Today, I see the man dancing around as Tonse Alliance. We formed the Tonse Alliance for ECAO and all of the PF members who are stranded and all of us because Mao Samba and Chavinga had sold PF to UPND. How can a political Judas Iscariot who transacted PF to the UPND now become Tonse? Does it make sense to you? For us, it doesn't make sense. And then is he calling us who created Tonse Alliance illegal? They are political masqueraders. They are political spoilers.
Mao Samba is Judas Iscariot in your face.
Politically, yes. And in the eyes of the PF. That's a man who transacted. He grabbed PF by force through whatever convention he created, designed. And when he was reconciling with ECL, we were very hopeful that he would come with PF papers. He came with his fingers. He presented fingers on the table. The PF remained in UPNG with the papers, with Chavinga. So his political relevance to PF is zero. To me. So such a man cannot be made to be at the helm of Tonse Alliance. I would say or no. And because that's double betrayal to ECL, even in death. Even ECL would not be happy to see that. If Mao Samba has reconciled with us as PF, since he reconciled with our father, let Mao Samba now sit on the floor. He can't become the leader of the party sword. To me, morally, it doesn't make sense. Ethically, it doesn't make sense. It only makes sense when I follow it. What is strange for me, what I find also very strange, is that when Mao Samba was politically transacting PF from ECL and PF members to UPND, the one who was acting was who as the PF president?
You tell me.
It was Honorable Wind. It was Honorable Wind. It was not ECL. It was Honorable Wind. He was the acting president of the PF in 2023 because ECL had left him to act. And Mao Samba grabs it from them, takes it, drags it to the UPND, and the papers are changed. Mao Samba comes back to reconcile, and ECL, may he so rest in peace, was a noble man. He was a Christian. He forgave him. We have reconciled. Now bring back PF. To date, there is no PF coming back to where Mao Samba is seated. Mao Samba is seated there just with his fingers. The PF party took to UPND. It's in UPND, locked, and the key has been thrown in the ocean.
Doc, I'm pretty sure you are a Christian.
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes, I'm a Christian.
And you believe in forgiveness, right?
Yes.
So, ECL and the Honorable Mao Samba, they reconciled. And you, as a political advisor then, under President Edgar Chagwa,
yes,
you might have been part and parcel
I
those.
I was part of the people that he highly recommended for that reconciliation process. Yes.
You participated?
Yes. I was playing the background role. The first pictures of Mao Samba and ECL when they met to do the handshake after a cup of tea, they were sent to me from the president to send to me to run them on his Facebook page. Others told him, no, I said, let's run them. And I did an article that let us forgive a prodigal son. 12 reasons why Mao Samba as a prodigal son must be forgiven. I wrote an article. It was circulated to try to facilitate that they should be embraced and be forgiven. That I did. That I did. You see, you can forgive a king, a chief who trades his subjects as slave traders if he repents. You can forgive them because that's what Christianity demands, forgiveness. But I don't think it's wise to still make him your overall king. Because your subjects would have died in the Atlantic Ocean, in the waters, because of his transactions of slave trade. Your subjects would have gone, perished. Some would have been enslaved in the Latin America and America as such. So to say this one who we think did harm to us by selling our daughters and sons as slave traders, we have forgiven him. But now do we make him the paramount king? The answer is no. Morally, the answer is no. He's one of us, we have forgiven him, let's move on. But the king shouldn't be arrogant enough to begin to insult and undermine those who have forgiven him. Because the consequences of his actions are still there. Do you know that even in Tonse Alliance, we're here today because of the actions of Mao Samba? He has been forgiven. ECL forgave him. But ECL died a dethroned king in PF. So the consequences of Mao Sampa's actions in 2023 October still went to the grave with ECL. He never died as a happy PF president because PF was not given to him. PF was still in the hands of Robert Chavinga, and is still in the hands of Robert Chavinga. So the consequences, my brother, of that actions are still with us today. Today, PF can't be on the ballot. We're forgiven our brother, our honorable man. Even personally, I don't have personal issues with him. We're forgiven him. But we can't sit on the ballot as PF. Because of who? His actions. So we are still here. So in as much as we're forgiven him and we embrace him, he should not be arrogant to insult us because we forgave him. Later on, to call us who created Tonse Alliance illegal. When we created it because of desperation after PF was sold to the UPND politically by himself. That is not right, morally.
He has also questioned your morality and your credentials, your relevance to politics and governance. And for him, he says, yeah, look, you Dr. Zimba, you might have been, of course, a political advisor to President Edgar Chagwa Lungu, but however, you did not contribute anything value to the presidency of Edgar Chagwa Lungu. In short, you are more like nothing. You know, you occupied that office just for the sake of occupying it. In terms of relevance and the value, the results were dismal, were pathetic after the election of 2021, meaning that you as a political advisor, you failed politically. You failed the Edgar Lungu, you also failed the PF as a family. So the PF perished in 2021, partly or largely because of you, who was the right-hand man to Edgar Lungu when he was a president. How would you question Mao Sampa's relevance and credibility?
I see. You see, I smile when such assertions are advanced. They are advanced based on ignorance. That's what I'll tell you. In 2019, I was appointed on 20th December 2019 as a political advisor. You need to mark the dates.
Right.
The question is, why was I appointed? I never applied for that job, by the way. I never applied for that job. I never applied for that job. But I was appointed, meaning I was approached. There was a reason. There was a basis. The president of the Republic of Zambia can't just wake up and say, Innocent Piri, I want you to come and work with me at State House as my advisor. There must be a background. There must be a profile you present. There must be a comparing case behind that appointment, because that is a presidential appointment. You see, a political advisor, just like many other presidential advisors, they are more politically powerful than ministers. That's what I will tell you.
Right.
They are at a level, in the civil service, they are at a level of deputy secretary to cabinet. They are even above PSS. So a person who is a special advisor to a president is not a small person like Levi Ngoma, Chris Mundia, Jito. You may treat them with the less consideration at your own peril. They are not part of they are part of the presidency. So when the president is making decisions in terms of who to hire and fire, those are the people you consult.
Political advisors.
Yes, political, economic advisors, legal advisors. That's why they are called these advisors. They run the presidents with him.
Special advisors.
Correct. These are people who work with the president on a daily basis. So I was honored by the grace of God to have been at the table of the presidents with ECL. And we went into 2021 presidential general elections together as such. And I was a key player, by the way, to that equation in terms of the elections. In 2019, before I was appointed, I was engaged as a political consultant by the PF party through Honorable Davis Mwila to evaluate and give them a report in terms of the chances of PF defending power in 2021. And I presented the report in October, in September and October, before Central Committee. It was my first time I went to State House, and it was my first time I was meeting President Lungu as an independent political consultant. In my short analysis I presented to the Central Committee, I made a position which I want to emphasize.
Right. My
position was, if elections were held at the end of 2019 or in 2020, ECL and the PF would lose by 70 to 75%. I gave even a percentage in terms of the performance.
That was before you were appointed.
Before I was appointed as a consultant.
Right.
Because you need to understand
Yes.
where I was appointed.
Yes.
Because the Honorable Sampa and many other PF people don't understand where I was appointed. But the people who are in that central committee, Professor Luo, Honorable Kampiongo, name it, Honorable Winda himself, Mama Inonge Wina, they were in that central committee. I stood before a central committee chaired by a sitting president. And I said, if elections were held anytime between now, October and 2020, Your Excellency, PF would lose, will only get less than 40%, most likely 35, 36%, and you lose power. Do you know what happened in that central committee meeting?
No.
People became angry, started hitting tables. SG, why did you get this young man insulting a president? These are treasonable statements. I hate those statements. I was accused of committing what? Making treasonable statements. That I was threatening President Lungu that he would lose. In 2019, in October. It's there on record. Antonio Mwanza was the media director. I was in that meeting. You can ask him. Arik Tembo was direct administration PF. He was in that meeting. Honorable Davis Miller was the SG. He was in that meeting. I made the prediction that PF was a sinking Titanic ship in October 2019. I was not at State House. I was just a consultant. They were angry. They fought me. They criticized me. But President Lungu, in his wisdom, to close that noise which rose against me, he told them, and Honorable Inongewin also supported me, and Honorable Davis Muila, Defense Minister. They were the three people that supported me. I still remember very well. The president said, Dr. Zimba, this man standing before us is not PF, he's a consultant. He's like a medical doctor. So he has assessed us. Now he has told us that we suffer from these diseases. Why do we want to crucify him? Why can't we ask him to give us a remedy? We shouldn't threaten him. He's telling us his views based on his independent observations. So don't force him to praise us or to say we are winning when he believes we are going to lose. He's like a doctor who has prescribed and who has identified an illness. So please just cooperate with him. He may be the right person to give us a recommendation for the treatment. And that was the end of the meeting. December 20th, I received a phone call to go to State House. I went to State House. I was asked if I could wait for President Lungu to help him politically. I said yes. An appointment letter was given to me around 11 hours. And 14 hours I was sworn in. Against the background of what I presented, which sounded politically toxic. So even at the time I was going to State House, I was going there, I was being hired to help to rescue a sinking Titanic. ECA was fully aware of my position. Help me. This thing is now sinking. Your observations, which were fought against as a consultant, I've also received many other reports. You are correct. I want you as my advisor to help me to redeem the PF and to try to help us to retain power amidst these challenges of the likelihood of losing. So I was jumping on the ship through a helicopter because the ship was at the center of the ocean and drowning. I tried my best, but it sank. So when people say, Zimba made us lose, what? It's ignorance, total ignorance. They can ask the Central Committee members who sat in 2019 in October, where I presented what I said. Arik Tembo was a direct administration. He called me last month. He said, Doc, when you presented in 2019 as a consultant that PF will only get not less than 40%, to get between 35 to 40, people wanted to fight you in the Central Committee. They were even undermining the SG for hiring you as a consultant. In 2021, the performance of PF and the ECF was within the range of what you predicted, and slightly above. So if people were honest, they would be saying Zimba is very competent because he was able to see ahead of time. 2 years before the general election, I predicted that. I gave them a paper and a position. So they are speaking out of ignorance. That's the reason why ECL, even when he lost, he kept me very close. There is no person who was closest to ECL politically than me until his death. Even on the issue of Plan B, there is no person who can explain and who understand the Plan B better than me. Because I was meeting ECL after I was blocked by the Concord. Twice per week, he gave me days. Tuesdays and Thursdays. Ask Madam Mama Esther Longo. She will tell you Zimba used to show up in Chifwema. Tuesdays and Thursdays were speaking specifically for Zimba and ECL. Nobody would enter that gate. He will lock it. We would discuss name by name, possible successor, possible running mate, pros and cons, different personalities. I know the views of ECL on many people because I used to sit with him in October and January before I went to South Africa. Why did he keep me too close and consulting me if I was that useless politically? So I'm not offended by what people say. It is the nature of the game. When the team loses a key tournament, for example, the World Cup, and the expectations were very high, the coach will be blamed. The captain will be blamed. Sometimes the goalkeeper will be blamed. Sometimes the strikers will be blamed. When it happens like that, it's subjective and it's okay. We need to accept the blame because leadership comes with the responsibilities. ECL considered and accepted that we lost. He even apologized to the Zambian people. I was part of that apology he made. He apologized to PF and apologized to the Zambian people. Because we lost collectively as a team.
As a researcher, as a political, scientist, when you play back the tape, you rewind the tape, what do you think caused the PF to lose power? Beyond what you have said, but what do you think? ECL told you that, look, I think we are in trouble here and I need you closer.
Yes.
So instead of you working from outside as a consultant, I would want you to come inside the house.
Correct.
But what do you think? What would you point out as the main reasons which could have attributed or led to the PF to lose power?
Okay, thank you. There are many factors. They are twofold. There are factors which can be blamed on the PF as a political party.
Right.
And there are factors that can be attributed to UPND and HH in terms of manifesto. I'll start with the last one. HH presented a case of political paradise before Zambians. He promised them Bali will fix it. And Bali promised to fix almost everything. The economy, the mining sector, the energy sector, the agriculture sector, tourism sector, manufacturing sector, name it. Bali presented himself as a political angel. In Eastern Province, where I come from, we could hear people say, he presented himself as a commercial farmer. Somebody who is going to raise the status of farmers to paradise. And farmers will be running around with checks and the money each year. And they are going to become economically empowered and independent. That's the reason why his performance in the Eastern Province, where ECL comes from, was tremendous politically. He got above 46% HH in Eastern Province. Not that the Easterners hated ECL, their son. The Easterners felt what HH promised them was paradise. And that's the case across in Lusaka, Copper Belt, and across Zambia. So part of the defeat is because we had an opposition leader who promised honeymoon to the Zambian people in terms of the price of mini meal. He said, I'll bring it to 50 kwacha from 90 or 120. The price of fuel, he said, I'll bring it to a to a single digit. From 17 to come to 8 or 9. So the people with the vehicles across Zambia, they are in thousands. They said, this is the man we want. Mr. Lungu, you're a good man. But we want a man who's going to put the price of fuel to a single digit, not 17. The price of the farmers, he promised them that, look, the fertilizer ECA and PF government are giving you is nothing, it's peanuts. I'll be giving you 4, 6 bags of fertilizer, each of you. They were dancing across Eastern Province, Mchinga, Southern, Northern, all farmers, because they anticipated such a president. The youths, he told them that in the mining sector, I'll give you loans, you to buy mining equipment. You're going to form cooperatives. I will empower you. You will make money from your minerals. He used to have those media press conferences, President HH, in the opposition. You, the people in the media, he promised you paradise in terms of media regulations and freedom. The civil society, in terms of freedom of assembly and movement, you know, he crashed and denounced the Public Order Act. So I can assure you that much of the performance of what HH got in 2021 was based on his political promissory notes across multiple sectors, because it made a convincing and a compelling case before the voters. So they voted for a paradise president, a paradise king. HH was like that man in the sky coming to Zambia with the paradise. Milk and honey. Land of milk and honey. That's what he promised. And by that promissory economic and political note, he swept votes across Zambia. Look at his performance across Lusaka province and the Copper Belt. Those were PF and ECO strongholds. We sank as PF and the ECO team because the UPND leader promised paradise economically. Copper Belt gave him thunderous votes. Eastern province, Lusaka province, Central province, plus the 3 Zambezi, he won. So that's one side as to why we lost. We faced a man who was promising very good and very sweet. On the other hand, there were certain actions or conduct on the side of the PF, which offended the electorates and the voters. And even before I became a political advisor, those are the reasons I was advancing as to why PF will not win 2021 and the ECA will lose. The political violence coming from the cadres became a signature of the PF. Political thuggery became a signature. Driving along the highways, Kafue Road or Cairo Road, cadres would be driving the opposite lane in a convoy and chasing everyone. All the motorists have to duck. That was a signature of the PF cadres.
And
in the bus stations. Yes, I did highlight those things. Right. We needed to kill that before 2021. Right. I was not responsible for running the party. I was not a party president. I was not a party vice president. I was not a party SG or anything. I was only a political advisor. I could only prescribe recommendations. The implementers were the owners of the party. It never changed.
And when you advise, your job ends at advising.
An advisor is like an induna in the village to a chief. The chief remains a chief. The chief runs the kingdom. You as an induna, your job is Baba, Your Royal Highness, I think you want to kwaso so kulinjala. Chintu atandizeko milis or yellow maize or something. Chintu ende kuboma, boma itipase ko minister. Wazafa bantu bana. Or wazaku kiran. It ends there. It is up to the chief himself to go, reach out to government, to go and deliver his and rescue his subjects. So an advisor, just like Levin Goma or Chris Mundia or any other person, is an advisor. I was one of the most trusted advisors of ECL, both at the State House and even when he left the State House. Because as far as ECL is concerned, I did my best and I did my part. He never doubted me. ECL was a very principled man. Had he doubted me, he wouldn't have entertained me after we lost power. He wouldn't have entertained me. But he knew that the man who was standing with him as his political advisor was the right man, a loyal person, and the person he would count on. That's why I stood with him toe to toe until the last breath he had in June last year. When going even to hand over power, I was the only one who escorted him. No former president, no former cabinet minister, no former PS, no another advisor accompanied him. It was myself and Tasila, plus Daniel CEO and ADC Chanda, were the key visible civil servants at Hero Stadium. We were booed together with I was booed together with my father and a former president, ECL. And for me, that was nothing, because we are trying to take leadership responsibility. To date, I'm so proud of ECL that I served him as my boss and my president. If I was to live in another world to save another president, I would still talk about ECL.
What do you make of this? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because he was a noble man and he was a good man.
He was a noble man and a good man. But others will tell you that, look, you are eulogizing ECL, and yet you've betrayed his legacy. You've abandoned his legacy and his direction via the SG position you occupy now in Tonse Alliance. And this is what maybe the Given Luinda team will tell you. I think a week ago we did cover a press briefing held by Honorable Given Luinda, who was still insisting that that is the only Tonse existing so far. Those who have gone, they are betrayers to the ECL legacy. Meaning you are part of those betrayers, you yourself.
No. The betrayers are those who sold PF to the UPND government. And they are known. They don't sit with us. They sit with the people we're talking about. They dine and wine with the people we're talking about. They eat with the people we're talking about. Betrayers of ECL's legacy are the people that grabbed PF and took it into the hands of the UPND. I'm not one of them, and I've never been one of such people. Honorable Luinda sits with them, and politically he kisses them. He's even elevating them, some of them, by giving them higher positions. So who is betraying the legacy of ECL? Tonse Alliance, I was the key architect or found engineer or designer. For who? You read here. Which name is appearing in this document? As chairman and presidential candidate, Dr. Edgar Chagwarongo. It's me who drafted this. To try to give my former president and my father a political platform after I was politically undressed and embarrassed by those who traded PF to UPND. So who is defending the legacy of ECL? Between me, who went into prison for 9 months, maliciously charged and fixed in prison for 9 months on behalf of ECL and the PF, and came out of prison, found ECL embarrassed, politically stranded and undressed without PF. But I went on the ground to design the alliance for ECL and everyone. Today, they are coughing Tonse Alliance, the word Tonse Alliance. It's because of my initiative. That name came from me. Tonse Alliance they're talking about, the one they are pronouncing on their mouth. It is my project. It's my baby for ECL and the Zambian people. So I uphold ECL's legacy. I've tried to defend ECL. When he is displaced, I give him political solutions. Ask Honorable Luinda, what political solutions did you give to ECL for the last 4 years or 5 years? When ECL left you as acting president of the PF, ECL went back to PF. He didn't find the PF. He left in the hands of Honorable Luinda. Honorable Luinda had empty hands. So who betrayed ECL? Nisungire kwa chipani chinaenda. You come back, the man doesn't have a part. He's presenting his fingers. Me, because of that dilemma and crisis, I go and create Tonse Alliance. I present it in the hands of ECL. Then you who lost PF to political traders who went to UPND, you come back and say, no. Even Tonse Alliance, I belong there. It's mine. So you can judge for yourself. I sit with confidence and pride in the ECL legacy because I bring something to the table politically for ECL. I have presented Tonse Alliance to the Zambian people and to ECL. And that's why we have Tonse Alliance today. It came from my hands after I came out of prison. The people you're talking about, they have never been in any prison for the past 4 or 5 years. They have just been at home. Free men. Be it Mao Sampa, be it Honorable Luinda, be it Professor Luo, Jean Kapata, name them. Those are people who have just been free. They never took any political solution to ECL to date. Nothing. It's just their fingers and talking. I have presented something tangible. Tonse Alliance is a product I designed for ECL Sean Tembo. Me and Sean Tembo, we took something. And I've heard some people even undermine Sean Tembo, by the way. That's a man to honor. That's a man to respect. That's a man who stood side by side with ECA when he was being humiliated in Uka. Madam Edith Nawakwi, Professor Dan Pule, and Sean Tembo. Those are the people ECA respected. But some people you are talking about today, sometimes they would want to belittle Professor Luo, Professor Pule, and Sean Tembo, or even Edith Nawakwi. And they present themselves as defenders of ECA legacy. Which legacy? Which ECA legacy? Ask them, specify the legacy of ECA you are trying to defend. This is the legacy of ECA or Tonse Alliance we are defending because we created it ourselves for ECA and the Zambians. They have created nothing. Apart from political chaos, political divisions, political squabbles, and political masquerading. So politically, I see them as spoilers. They spoiled PF in 2023. It was left in their hands. Today, ECL is in death. There is no PF. It is still in the hands of Chavinga because of some of the people they are sitting with. So we can't overemphasize the point that the people who have betrayed ECL are known, and I'm not one of them. I'm among the people that have defended the ECL legacy. That's why we have Tonse Alliance today. Look, the gentleman who traded PF is with them. They no longer talk about PF. If they are serious, they would have said they have formed the PF Alliance. Because that's a man with a PF. He's the PF acting president. Why can't they call it PF Alliance? They can't do that because there is no PF. It is with Chavinga and the UPND.
There are quite a lot of names that are vying for the position of PF president, as it were, in inverted commas. I'm trying to mention that with a lot of caution because of the injunction, the Kawe injunction which has been mentioned. But there are so many names that have been listed. Of course, we can exclude Honorable Mtoto Kafaya, who was withdrawn from the race. So far we can say you've got about 8 people who are vying for that seat of the PF president. When you look at all these names and the conversation you used to have with the former president, Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu, advising you that in an event I'm not around, in an event would want to have a president or someone to succeed from me as a PF president, I think this could be the name. Which among the names were popping up as the possible successors to the late Edgar Chagwa Lungu as PF president?
Yeah, I see. In trying to honor his ECO's legacy, I wouldn't specify a name, but I'll give you a framework. Right. Because ECO was supposed to have announced himself the Plan B, meaning the name.
Correct.
So that privilege and authority still remains with him. The fact that he never divulged and he died without us knowing, I wouldn't conclude for him because it was him who had made the personal decision on the final person and the running mate, and he never divulged to me.
Right.
In May, I had a longer conversation with him. The last longer conversation with him I had on the phone. It was a month before he died. And he made an indication that he had decided on Plan B in terms of the presidential candidate and the running mate in South Africa.
Right.
And he said, when I come back, I'll come and announce. And we shall win 2026 on Tonse Alliance and with my candidates. A presidential candidate and a running mate. The framework of Plan B was about ECO choosing a presidential candidate and a running mate, combined.
Right.
Initially, just wanted to choose a presidential candidate, but because I was meeting him constantly, weekly, we are discussing it. He eventually accepted that a complete Plan B concept must have a presidential candidate and a running mate so that he has control on both.
Right.
If he picked one person, that person will have too much power, he will pick another person they want. So in the spirit of him having some form of control and for the two to have allegiance to him, he needed to pick the two. Right. So in May, he confirmed that he had picked and he had decided. Whether he wrote somewhere on a paper, I don't know. I was in South Africa.
Right.
Whether there's a video, I don't know. Whether there's an audio, I don't know. Because that information has not reached us.
Right.
But I know the views of ECA on a lot of these presidential candidates. Even some people are not even on the presidential ticket, be it in PF or outside PF.
Right.
Because we used to scrutinize names of possible presidential candidates and the possible running mates. You would call me, Doc, come for lunch, so that we go through our Plan B file. He called it a file. So we had a file. There was a criteria, detailed criteria, and they were proposed possible names of presidential candidates or running mates, or the other way around. So the people, many of them who are contesting on the PF ticket, they were appearing on that list. That I can confirm.
Right, right.
Many of them who are appearing on the presidential ticket of the PF were appearing on that list. It was predominant initially.
Many of them or all of them?
Many of them.
Okay. Right.
Or most of them. Let me use that word, most of them.
Okay.
They were appearing on that list of either presidential candidate or running mate. Because some people were on the running mate list, you could talk about them as presidential candidates.
Right.
And some people on the presidential candidate list, you talk about them as running mates. And the criteria and the justifications is what we would settle on in terms of discussion, because you would ask me. And to answer your question, there were many. But apart from those who are contesting on the PF ticket, there were also non-PF members.
Right.
He started adding, and he would ask me to go and vet them, to profile them in terms of strengths and weaknesses, as an independent person, as well as his advisor.
Yeah.
So the church, some church leaders to him would recommend people. Some civil society leaders close to him would recommend people. And he would give me those names. Zimba, what do you think about this? What about these names? Our Excellency gave me time. Okay, next week let's meet. When we meet on Thursday, we'll discuss those people. So I'll go and do my homework, profile them, do my background check, then we'll have a conversation. So the Plan B list was quite big because it had a lot of names from both PF and non-PF leaders.
Right.
Some were political party leaders, some were not political party leaders. Were just noble and distinguished citizens who have served Zambia in different portfolios in the past. But the final decision was made by him. He confirmed it in May on the phone before he died. He told me, we talked at length. And it is that time that he insisted that Zimba, please defend and keep Tonse Alliance for me. So my passion for Tonse, to defend Tonse, is derived from the fact that the founding chairman of Tonse, the man who founded Tonse for ECL, entrusted me and he asked me and he demanded me to defend it until he comes. But he never came. He never came, unfortunately for us. And unfortunately for all Zambians, ECL never came, and may his soul rest in peace. So to answer your question, I believe that ECL meant well.
Right.
And I believe that ECL's Plan B final decision would have been among the best. ECL used to take a lot of time to make decisions because he believed in consultation, broad stakeholder consultation. So I was not the only person advising him. There were a lot of players behind. Friends from the church, civil society, the party. He could consult some traditional leaders. You see, he was a people's person. But that final decision was made. He told me. That much I can put on the table. He told me.
So, as his former political advisor, you can confirm this evening that up to his death, ECL did not disclose who his possible successor was going to be.
Never. He never disclosed to anybody.
Okay.
And it was designed that way. He used to say it that way.
Right.
If there was a person who should have known, it's me. Because I used to discuss names with him. But it was designed even me, I shouldn't know. And I think that it is safer that way.
Right.
For a president, that certain things should be kept to himself. Because what about if I whisper to my wife out of excitement? I will sabotage his plan. And that would be betrayal. So even me as a person who have worked with a president before, even at the level of State House, certain things you don't need to know even as an advisor.
Right.
It is also for your safety. So Levin Goma or Chris Mndia shouldn't insist to know so much from HH's head. No, that is not their job. They'll be risking too much to ask him too many questions. It's better they advise him, they make policy recommendations, pros and cons, and they allow him to make a decision. So that when it comes from him, it's him. The moment you want to know to the point of knowing certain things, details, you are risking too much. Because what about if it leaks? He will accuse you.
You'll be in the circle.
You'll be in the circle, you'll be entangled. So that decision was never disclosed, as far as I'm concerned. It was never disclosed to anybody.
So
and
if
it was disclosed to somebody, they would have popped up the same week or month he died.
Right.
But those who popped up, I saw some people masquerading as people are chosen. They were lying. I would have known. And some of those people are not even on the list, either as a presidential candidate or running mate. I know that. That much I know. So you just laugh. Wow. And I've heard some people say, no, he anointed me. And this year he anointed the innocent pig. And he anointed his friend as running mate. They are lying. If they said it yesterday, they were lying. If they said it today, they are lying. If they will say it tomorrow, they will be lying. That's the point. ECO died with it. If I told you left something, it was written, or it's in video, or it's in audio. That much I know, because that's how we operated.
Where do you now, I mean, you used to associate with the former First Lady, Madam Esther Lungu, who is still domiciled in South Africa, of course, because of the bereavement of Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu. When you talk about the Tonse, I would say, what do you think that family is feeling right now to see this confusion going on from the Luinda camp, and also from your end as well, the man who is holding on to the Tonse alliance? While Luinda, there's another group again, the Chavinga. What do you think, have you ever imagined how the Lungu, our Mama Esther Lungu, the Tasila Lungu, and the others are feeling right now in South Africa?
They are traumatized. Politically, they are traumatized. The Lungu family are among the most traumatized family as we speak today. They are emotionally stressed and emotionally drained. It's not because of the loss of our father and the former president only. It's because they've been exposed to political treachery and political betrayal, even when ECO was alive.
Right.
Mama Esther Lungu is in court. Our sister Tasila Lungu is in court. Our brother Daddy Solongo is in court. Name it. Our sister Chieso is in court. The entire Lungu family is in court for different charges. So they feel politically traumatized. And the trauma started with these malicious persecutions. But it was exacerbated by the political betrayal of grabbing Tonse PF and taking to PF, to UPND. Because ECO repeatedly used to lament and complain about that. And I know that our former First Lady is fully aware of that. The daughters and the sons are fully aware about that. So for them to see also Tonse being fought, it's a repetition of seeing their father losing PF into the hands of HH. It was one of the most painful things for HH, for ECL. It's not losing 2021. I'll tell you on record.
Right.
One of the most political painful things for ECL was losing PF to HH and UPND. That he used to lament and openly complain many times, and he would be emotionally charged when he reaches there. There is an October, 28th October, that's when we celebrate and commemorate the death of the Michael Sadas.
Yeah.
It's death. In 2024, ECA was banished from attending, politically banished. I mean, just using the word figuratively. Meaning, they made HH to be at the center of Michael Sadas Memorial. And ECO never showed up. Instead of taking it to a Catholic cathedral, they took it to Anglican cathedral. The Sata family and those, the PF leaders, the Chavingas, who took the PF to President HH and the UPND. I was with ECO in Chifwe Mati's house that day watching that program. And it was in that time that when I discovered that the pain in his heart of losing PF to UPN and HS was too much. So the fact that the wife and the children lived with him and interacted with him, what is happening in Tonse is like a repetition. But why is it that whatever comes for our father, on the way of our father, someone wants to get it? So Tonse Alliance, we created for ECA. The family knows, even Mama Isarongo knows. Because we meant well for ECA, wanted to defend his legacy. We gave him a platform to contest 2026 using Tonse Alliance. That's why today we are competing in by-elections. We've been won in Petauke, we won in Chawama and everywhere. It is our platform created for ECA ourselves. When ECA was politically stranded. For them to see, in my view now, I'm not saying that's what they are saying as the Lungu family, but I'm interpreting it for them. For them to see that the only political organization ECA left behind here on earth called Tonse in his name, because you read it was in his name. It is being politically encroached by the people, some people even sold PF to UPND. I think they are traumatized. It's not a good reminder for them. It's not a good reminder. You see, trust is earned. You can't force trust on people. I shouldn't force people to trust me. I should earn trust based on my conduct, based on my actions. In the ECO family, I earned trust because I ceased only to be his political advisor. I used to be called ECO's son. Zimba Wawela, that's Mama Esther Rongo now. Wawela Zimba, thank you. Uko Wela, because your father eats when people like you come. When you join him to eat, he's very happy. That's the only time I see him eating. So I want you to be coming many times in the week. Mama Esther Rongo told me many times, where have you been? I didn't see you last week. No, you should be coming weekly. Your father is very happy when you're around because I see him eating. Mama Esther Rongo gave me a demand to be going to Chifuema every week. I'm not putting it because she's still alive. Others say, no, I'm a boss because I'm a boss for Namodi. No, I'm talking about Mama Esther Rongo. She will say, you are the son here. When you show up here, they will even say, start cooking is because Zimba's come. His father now eat with him. So that's the relationship I had. But you see, it never came from nowhere. It was earned. I don't think other people had such a relationship with the Lungu family, either Mama Esther Lungu or President Lungu. I don't think so. When President Lungu called me on phone, even when I was in South Africa, he used to call me many times. I never used to call him by principle because he went there for treatment. Right. So I would just wait for him to call me. Or if anything, I would send a signal to either Daniel C or the ADC. Oh, I want to talk to His Excellency when he has time, either today or another day. So, but he used to call me himself. I said, sometimes you send me a message, Zimba, why are you not calling me? Your Excellency, you are sick, so I don't want to be bothered. Oh, no, let's be talking. But there's a point I want to tell you. Every time he called me on phone, whether when he was here in Zambia, from there to Chifwema or at Ibex, or when he was in South Africa before he died, every time he called me, he greeted my children by names. He knew all my children by names. Alibwanji Dandan. I don't want to mention them. Because, he will mention them one by one. Sometimes, put him on the phone. I want to greet my grandson, my eldest boy. You talk. Grandpa, how are you? They talk. Oh, no, work hard. That's why you encourage him. So I had a personal relationship, a family relationship. I'm part of that family, by the way, in other terms.
Right.
Because I was not treated as an outsider. I was treated as a son. So, I think for them to see that we are still fighting, they are politically traumatized. It's my prayer to God that these political turbulences and storms and thunders, as well as lightnings we are seeing, they will quell as soon as possible.
Let's squeeze in a few questions before we go, Doc. Before ECL died, part of the Plan B, he brought in the NCP as a new, the special purpose vehicle to be used by the Tonse Alliance. That was announced via a press statement. From there, you as a Tonse Alliance members, you began to use the NCP. An example is in Petauke. You've got a member of parliament via Tonse, a grouping, and of course other by-elections that were used. And the vision, the announcement of the former head of state was that we shall be using the NCP from now going up to 2026 general election. Along the way, NCP is kicked out, allegedly, through the people like you yourself, because your name has popped out that you staged a coup.
They just like me. That's why they like citing when in such. I'll answer. Continue. They are my friends.
That's my question.
Oh, yeah, you're finished.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So I'll give you facts as they are. I don't believe in falsehoods or deceptions or manipulations or distortions. I'm a Christian, and I believe in putting things as they are on the table.
Right.
Jesus said, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." So I want you today to be set free, because you have been given false information. Number one is that the decision of the special purpose vehicle in the Tonse Alliance was a decision born from a political bidding and competition among many players, political parties.
Right.
When the Kawamba by-election came on the horizon, Tonse Alliance was already formed and launched. But the constitution then, which is this old constitution, I think I'm happy that I brought it. I want to read something very quickly in line with what okay, good. So our constitution at that time is this one we are using with ECL. When we formed Tonse Alliance, this is the constitution we were using. So that we kill the falsehood around NCP. I want you to be very clear in terms of their claims.
Right.
Here it says, Article 20 says what? Allocation of local government seats. Okay, no, I want to... Okay, here. Article 19, format of electoral pact, isn't it? It says, number one, the cornerstone of the alliance is premised on the electoral pact, which will ensure that every member political party benefits by fielding candidates at parliamentary and local government level under the umbrella and with the support of the alliance. Every political party member shall benefit by fielding what? Candidates at parliamentary and local government level.
Correct.
This was the standing. So when we Kawamba by-election came, after our member of parliament, Honorable Chilanga, was sentenced into that prison sentence, we were supposed to have decided now which political party do we use in Kawamba. And the provision was that all political party members of the alliance were supposed to be given an equal opportunity to participate. So now that became an impossible situation to implement.
Right.
PEP was interested to go there. Christian Democratic Party was interested. ZRP was interested. NCP was interested. Many political parties, NED, they were interested. It became a problem.
Right.
So a decision was made that no, we can't have a situation where we participate in elections using all political parties. Everyone is participating under alliance, chaotic.
Right.
This could have only applied had these political parties had seats, members of parliament. So since these political parties in Tonse Alliance at that time, none of them had a member of parliament, meaning they could now relinquish their political participation as multiple players by choosing one among them, so that we all rally behind one. And that's where the concept of special purpose vehicle came. And the Council of Leaders resolved that yes, let's choose just one political party amongst ourselves. PF had the central committee to make that decision. PF ranked FDD number 1, but FDD was still in Uka, had not yet officially joined Tonse, because Madam Nawaki was in India, she was sick.
Right.
PEP for Sean Tembo was ranked number 2. Christian Democratic Party for Professor Pule number 3. NCP was ranked what? Number 4. President Lungu and S.G. Nakachinda took that recommendation from Central Committee. And I was in Central Committee with President Lungu when that decision was coming up, was imaged. Almost all members of parliament, they wanted just FDD because they thought it was a bigger brand, it's a non-brand than anyone.
Right.
And NCP was not even second or third, it was number 4. When that was presented before the Tonse Alliance Council of Leaders, in terms of which ones should we pick, that same report was presented by Honorable Nakachinda and President Lungu. I was seated there. And the Tonse Alliance said, overwhelmingly, the most appropriate vehicle to use is FDD. And they said, okay, let's pick FDD. Others said, no, but we can't pick them because Bandamunawanka has not yet officially joined because of her health challenges. S.G. Nakachinda was even asked to go and call President Chifumu Banda on the phone for him to confirm that they are joining so that we can endorse FDD. He went to talk on the phone, came back and said, no, he's not picking calls. A decision was made, look, let's pick among our members. Let's forget about FDD for now.
Right.
So number 2 was PEP, number 3 was the Christian Democratic Party, number 4, NCP. In that discussion, conditions were set. For us to pick a special purpose vehicle, this special purpose vehicle must also share ownership or lose part of the ownership to Tonse Alliance. So when we pick you, one of the conditions is that some of the office bearers must drop, and then we take in Tonse Alliance members. And the one who will be the presidential candidate, who in this case ECL, should become the president of that party.
Just hold on there. I've marked the point where you get it from. I would want us to watch the video coming from Peter Chan. That's what we substantiate this conversation. It's been on record that Dr. Zimba staged a coup, or almost staged a coup against my political party.
I'll come to that.
So let's watch the video together with the viewers.
Okay.
And the idea was to go to Registrar of Society, change to say he's no longer president, and all those are some of the plan. I sent my vice president to the same meeting within that 24 hours, who went to meet Comrade Zuman and Comrade Aongola. It gives me a sad reading for me to state this because, number one, I'm being attacked left, right, center. There are people sponsoring people to talk about me insulting Isiel in his death when I stand with him, when all our campaign materials, they bear Isiel was portrait because I'm still mourning him. I want to state one thing.
As we move away from here.
As we move away from this topic now. I've elaborated, I never moved out of Tonse Alliance because somebody paid me all the social media crap that is coming out. You understand that? I moved out of Tonse Alliance because my position and the party that we have suffered for from 2003 was being threatened to be taken over by Comrade Zumani so that it can be used by Honorable Winda himself.
That's the video there. You can proceed. So you ended on the point where you were trying to explain that one of the conditions was for that political party to relinquish
part of the ownership.
To
Tonse Alliance.
Go ahead.
And the Tonse leadership. President Sean Tembo said, no, I'm not comfortable with that. President Pule said, I'm not comfortable with that. Peter Chanda said, I agreed. Ask the Rit Musoma is a close friend of Peter Chanda. Ask President Sean Tembo, Professor Pule. Ask the people in the Council of Leaders meeting, 2024, in December. It is Peter Chanda who said, no, me, I'll hand over the presidency to Tonse Alliance, to ECL. And part of my officials, who in English as office bearers, you as Tonse, through President Lungu, should recommend some people to take over. So that was one of the key conditions.
Right.
So, meaning only Peter Chanda, NCP, agreed. But in the background, we are still discussing with who? FDD, because it was the most preferred.
Right.
So went into Kawambwa under NCP and we lost. Two by-elections came at the same time, Pambashe and Petauke.
Yeah.
The Council of Leaders again said, by that time FDD had joined.
Right.
Yeah? By that time now FDD had joined. That issue came. And the discussion was, we should have NCP and FDD both as special purpose vehicle. NCP as primary, FDD as secondary, meaning we can use any of the two.
Right.
We are on record. You are journalists.
Yeah.
Go to Pambashe. Tonse Alliance participated under FDD.
Yes, it did.
Am I lying? It
You're
participated under FDD. That was under President Lungu as chairman. Petauke, we participated and as the NCP. So meaning we participated in 2 by-elections using how many special purpose vehicles? 2. In Pambashe, FDD, in Petauke, NCP.
That was part of the strategy.
It was part of the strategy.
Right.
It's on record. We lost in Pambashe, we won in Petauke. So for anyone to claim that there was only NCP as a special purpose vehicle, they are just manipulating using the first position of the Council of Leaders. They are not updating you the subsequent positions. That's why I'm saying that I like being factual and professional. Pambashe went as FDD, Petauke went as NCP, but as Tonse Alliance. I will tell you now something in confidence which I want to make public because of Peter Chanda. You have mentioned it.
Yeah.
Had it not been for me, I will emphasize this point.
Right.
Had it not been for me and Honorable Frank Ngambi, in Petauke would have also participated as FDD because that's a directive ECO had given. He wanted NCP removed. In both we put FDD. Ask Honorable Frank Ngambi, former member of parliament for Ndola Central. He will tell you this, that yes, it is Zimba who insisted. Ask former PS of Central Province, PS Bernard Chomba. Ask Honorable Remember Mutare. They went to meet President Lungu and they called me that Zimba, even in Petauke, the president has guided that we put FDD on both sides. I was put on a conference call because I refused. Said, no, let's defend the president so that we keep both special purpose vehicles. We can't just use FDD. It's me who refused. They went to report against me because they said I was rebelling against President Lungu. I'm telling you now because it's public.
Right.
And Honorable Murembe Mutare is alive, he's there. PS Bernard Chomba is alive, he's there. Honorable Frank Ngambi, they're there. It's me who called Honorable Ngambi. He called me many times, Zimba, do we put FDD or NCP? Meaning he had the 2 certificates. In Petauke, he was told carry both NCP and FDD and will tell you which one to use. So at the point of going to the nominations, he was calling, which one? Because they are telling me that the boss wants FDD on both sides. I said, no, Honorable, we are going to use both. In Pambashe, FDD. There, put NCP. It was the decision of Honorable Frank Ngambi to present the NCP certificate, which made us to contest and as the NCP in Petauke. These people are there. So this insinuation that NCP was the anointed one, special purpose vehicle, it's a fallacy and it's false. Today, NCP wouldn't be talking about a member of parliament. It would have been FDD in Petauke because that was the position of ECF. And when we featured on both, FDD, NCP and FDD, the boss called me back, President Lungu, said, no, Zimba, I think you did well. I commend you that we have preserved both the SPVs, NCP and the FDD.
Wow.
So I was one of the key persons who held on NCP. Mr. Peter Chanda, or Reverend Peter Chanda, used to come to my farm in Chongwe. We could even spend the night there. Because the boss had attached him to me, for me to help him to raise the profile of NCP in Tonse. Some of the conditions you needed to fulfill, it's me who knows them and I can't divulge them.
Right.
Because I respect professionalism. And at the point he made the decision to leave Tonse Alliance, I knew it a month before. Because he approached me, he told me. I met him plus one of his sponsors. I met them. They said, Zimba, we want this is for NCP. I told them it can't happen in Tonse Alliance. Decisions are made through the Council of Leaders, not me. And what you're presenting on the table, these are impossible conditions. And they told me, in that case, we are going to withdraw our NCP. And Peter Chanda himself told me, Zimba, I cannot hand over NCP to any president, apart from ECO. Now is that ECO is gone, I will not hand it over. And I told him, then it means you relinquish your position as a special purpose vehicle. Because that was the agreement in the Council of Leaders, and that was the agreement we had, you, me, and ECO, the 3 of us.
Those are the messages we have seen.
Correct. And later on, NCP withdrew. I never evicted them from Tonse Alliance. They made a press briefing. It's there. They made a press briefing that they have withdrawn from Tonse, and they gave reasons. It was weeks later that I followed up using now those messages that Reverend Peter Chanda. would you withdraw from Tonse Alliance in that manner when you have an agreement with us? So you have betrayed ECL. We have got these officials. ECL gave you, they are members of your NCP from Tonse Alliance and from ECL. You never even consulted them. These are people who are key in Tonse Alliance, in NCP. But you have just withdrawn and gone on your own. So you need to come back to us. Otherwise, these people take over your party. I was standing on firm grounds because he had betrayed ECL. At that point, he had already withdrawn from Tonse Alliance. So it was my follow-up to say, sir, you are a reverend, but your conduct is treacherous to ECL and all of us in Tonse. This Tonse, we have a shareholding now at 60%. Out of the 10 office bearers, 6 are ours. And I sent him those letters. He signed himself when ECL was alive to appoint the ECL people into the NCP. I said, this, one of them is your election chairman. One of them is your vice president. One of them is your legal chairman. One of them is your treasurer general. He appointed them himself from the ECL side and Tonse side. But when I was leaving Tonse Alliance, he had a press briefing. He had no regards for them because ECL had died, so he was not accountable to anyone. But he was now accountable to me on behalf of ECL and Tonse Alliance. That's why I followed up.
Right.
So those are the straight records.
Okay.
Forget about what is manipulating.
Right.
He had already left Tonse Alliance when I was following up.
Where is Sean Tembo, one of the founders of the Tonse Alliance? What happened and what's going on?
We talk, and we're in talking terms.
Right.
Sean Tembo left Tonse Alliance because he never wanted to subscribe to the leadership of Honorable Luvinda. He was very clear about it. When we had the tug of wars between Pule and Luvinda, Sean Tembo, just like myself and others like KBF, we sided with Pule. When Pule and myself reconciled with Luvinda, we agreed to work together in October, somewhere there. Sean Tembo refused. I was entrusted to bring him for a discussion with Honorable Luvinda. He refused completely. He told me, Zimba, I don't subscribe to the Luvinda leadership because he has imposed himself illegally on Tonse. He has no position in Tonse. Tonse is governed by a constitution, and the constitution of Tonse says, in the absence of the chairman, the vice president chairman shall chair the council of leaders. So you people have agreed that Pule and Luvinda will be co-chairing. That's anarchy. I don't want to be part of that. I can only come to a Tonse where you resolve that only Pule, based on the constitution, is recognized.
Right.
The email, the Facebook message ECL wrote to appoint Luvinda to act in the absence of both himself and Pule expired the moment Pule came to Zambia. So Luvinda is just masquerading and an imposter. So I don't want to subscribe to him. Either being him as a co-chair of Pule, I don't agree with you and I don't want to be part of that. So to date, Sean Tembo has never met Honorable Luvinda. But Sean Tembo is talking to us. Now that there is order, now that there is sanity, now that we are following the constitution religiously, we are talking. Even yesterday I was talking to him. Today I was talking to him. Sean Tembo is my personal friend, by the way. We come a long way. We come a long way. We have not just met in Osaka. We have a history between him and me in the hills of Chipata in Eastern Province. So he's a brother to me, he's a comrade to me, and he's a friend. So we talk. And I think that everything is okay between ourselves and Sean Tembo.
Right.
Yeah. It's a matter of time. We pray and hope that we can still work together with him. And in future, that will be made known if it's possible or not. But regardless of what happens, Sean Tembo remains dear to us in Tonse Alliance. Sean Tembo remains a brother, and Sean Tembo remains a noble contributor to the formation of Tonse Alliance. This logo people are displaying and are kissing today was designed by Sean Tembo, paid by himself, and everything done by himself. So for us, we cherish him and we celebrate him as a hero in Tonse Alliance.
Any possibility of him coming back to the Tonse Alliance under you as SG and Honorable Brian Munduvile as president?
There is no problem. It's something that we are talking.
Right.
Yeah, if it work out, the Zambian people will know.
Right.
If it won't work out, we'll still cherish him as a friend, a comrade, and as a brother. But the fact is that there is no barrier politically between ourselves and President Sean Tembo.
You also lost KBF. What happened along the way?
I don't know whether we politically lost him or he's still there or he's still floating. It's up to him.
Right.
He wanted to discredit what he subscribed to. That is not acceptable. Political honesty must be emphasized. Political integrity is important. So I've never commented on the issue of KBF. to date. Never, if you have noticed. I've never written anything about him. I do respect him. He's a good man.
Right.
But I want to say that political integrity and political honesty and political consistency is very important. His conduct, for me, it lacked those three important virtues: political consistency, political integrity, and political honesty. And above all, political tolerance.
Right.
It lacked that conduct. This constitution before you, the amended one, he is one of the primary movers of the motion to remove the PF party. One of the key persons or advocates who wanted PF party out so that we maintain the ECO movement is President KBF. The Council of Leaders meeting we had in January, the virtual one chaired by Honorable President Pule, which resolved to remove the KF party and retain ECO PF movement. President KBF participated actively and was part of the resolutions. You saw the circular that KBF was there and his party. When we are having a ceremonial event to sign the amended constitution at FDD offices, he was one of the key political figures that gladly signed it, appended his signature. And I've been made to believe and to know that he's a state counsel, he's a lawyer. So I don't know whether he signed it blindly. I don't know whether it was negligence. I don't know whether it was a strategy to manipulate us. So I don't know why he signed the amended constitution. He was part of the resolutions and he was part of us throughout to vehemently eject the PF party, to say it brings chaos because it belongs to Robert Chavinga. It has made us delay, not move. That was his firm position. Let's maintain the ECO PF movement. For him to somersault and turn, I don't know. I don't know. So I respect him. I hope and pray he comes back to Tonse Alliance and he works with us, because I personally think he's a good man, he's an intelligent man, and he's a noble citizen. And we need him in Tonse Alliance.
Right.
So he has not exited Tonse from my knowledge as SG.
Right.
Officially. Maybe he has. I'm not aware.
Right.
But we still pray and hope he comes back to us, because where we are today, he played the key role. He was one of the reformers of the Tonse Alliance movement. The reforms of 2026, one of the key stakeholders and players is President KBF, and we worked with him closely very well. So I don't doubt that he can come back to work with us.
The convention you held, as we quickly wind up, the convention we held last week, which elected President Brian Mundiwela as Tonse a leader and you as SG, has triggered some expulsion, which of course the given Lubin and the team, Honorable Jean Kapata saying, automatically, seemingly, those members of parliament, they crossed the floor by associating themselves with what they call an illegal grouping, Tonse Alliance, when the Tonse leader is Honorable Given Lubinda. So therefore, Honorable Brian Mundiwela and the team have been expelled as members of parliament. As a political advisor, political scientist, what is your comment over your members who have been expelled from your party?
Well, see, so I don't know that meeting, whether it was Tonse or PF. The same meeting. Because it was the same meeting where there was Shekafusa, Ephraim Shekafusa. It was the same meeting where there was Ibrahim Mwamba. It was the same meeting where there were some political party leaders. But the circular came out as PF Central Committee. I know PF Central Committee is here left. I don't know the PF Central Committee of Honorable Lubinda anyway. But either way, I know even the quorum of the PF Central Committee. Because I used to be part and parcel of the people to prepare ECO when it's going for such meetings, as the president and thereafter. The PF Central Committee has more than 80 people, I think 92 or 87. PF Central Committee.
Right.
Meaning the bar of its quorum is very high. So it can't be a kangaroo of a small meeting, you bring 25 people and say this is Central Committee. It's against the PF Constitution. But let's assume there's no PF, because PF is Chavinga and UPND. So I don't know who they are, and I don't know how they call themselves, and I don't know which constitution they are using. That's the reason why I don't want to comment much, because the quorum, I don't see it. And later on, to even have strangers who are outside PF in that meeting, like Shaka Fuswa, Ibrahim Mwamba, then you call it Central Committee resolutions. It is anarchical, it is chaotic.
Maybe they are calling that as a council of leaders. They are calling that as council of leaders.
Yeah, so they should call it the Luvinda faction.
Because I think a central committee was held the previous day, and then that was more like a follow-up now public announcement.
Yeah, but for the Tonse one, just let's forget about them. They are not Tonse, and they'll never be Tonse because they have not been part of Tonse. They were not there. You can't own what you don't have. You can't own what you don't have. A creator is more powerful than a creature. They never created Tonse Alliance, so they can't own it. So they are masqueraders and they are political spoilers. We are the Tonse Alliance. We created it and we own it. And we have a legitimate and duly elected president, Honorable Brian Munduwile. That's the Tonse Alliance. So there's no another Tonse Alliance. Those are political comedians and spoilers or masqueraders. Now, on the expulsions, you see, where I come from, you can only be treated to be an adult and you can only be respected based on how we interpret your word of authority. In your house, Mr. Piri, you have children. Nipase manzi. Chimwana chaenda chuzugabo chaenda sowera panji chiseka. Hello, iwe, nipaseko mbale panja hiyo. Nifanye fakepo mango. Then your son walks away, runs away, start laughing. Are you going to say you're a respected father? They don't respond to your demands. Even your wife. My wife, I'm hungry. I need something to eat. She walks in the kitchen, gets the food, eats, and then she walks out. Then you remain hungry. So meaning nobody takes you serious, both your wife and your children. That's what it means, isn't it? They have been suspending and expelling. I'll use that word. The same people, they have been expelling, suspending, expelling. When they meet, they are suspending, expelling. But no institution is responding to their expulsions. Meaning nobody takes them serious. These are the same people who start to say, well, they expelled those who are members who voted for Bill 7. They started at some point. It was on media. I followed it. We have expelled you as PF MPs because you voted for Bill 7. Did the parliament respond? No. Did ECZ respond? No. Was there any by-election for those who were expelled by that gun? No. Meaning nobody takes them serious.
You call it a gun?
A political gun. Because I don't want to call them anything because I don't know who they are now. Whether they are PF, I don't, because it's like people just masquerading. So we have expelled the MPs, the full number of MPs. Nobody was expelled, by the way. Those were empty air expulsions. Parliament never responded. ECZ never responded. The MPs never responded. Everything is as it is. Now they are saying, oh, we have also expelled those who have attended the Tonse General Congress. There shall be no by-elections because Parliament will not respond to them. ECZ shall not respond to them. Then when they sit, how do they take themselves serious? So, if those institutions don't take them serious, why should we in Tonse Alliance take them serious? The people expecting them don't want to take them serious. ECZ didn't take them serious. Parliament didn't take them serious. Why should we take them serious? So you see how the drama has been reduced to zero. What they pronounced politically amounts to zero, in my view.
Right.
Parliament won't be affected, ECZ won't move, and there shall be no by-elections.
My last question to you is, you have Brian Munduwile. Do you think Brian Munduwile is the right person to take over the presidency of the Tonse Alliance? Do you think Brian Munduwile is sellable enough, is attractable enough to appeal to the masses out there? And why should you distinguish Brian Munduwile from all the presidential candidates in the PF who have aspired as president?
Okay, thank you. So you need to take note that the fact that he was legitimately and democratically elected, that distinguishes him. None of those candidates have been elected anywhere, at any convention. So they're only aspiring. BM is no longer aspiring. He's a duly and a democratically elected presidential candidate. So that makes him politically tall and above everyone. He's distinguished. The UPND has not even gone to the convention, have they?
Not yet.
Not yet. So it sits better above President HH, because President HH has to go through the convention. We don't know what will happen. As in Tonse Alliance, we have BM who was duly and democratically elected. So he's above those competing in PF. They have been postponing the convention, and we don't know if it will take place. So until such a thing happens, he's above them. 2, in Tonse Alliance, ECO in March, while in South Africa, on his hospital bed, he appointed Honorable Brand Mondowira as his parliamentary affairs chairperson for Tonse Alliance. You can go on ECO's Facebook page. So BM was anointed by ECO in March 2025. Because of the trust ECO had in BM, he had to appoint him as Tonse Alliance Parliamentary Affairs Chairman to allow him to lead Parliament and opposition leaders and MPs on behalf of ECO for Tonse Alliance. Right. So his election as Tonse Alliance presidential candidate and president this year in January is a second democratic and a popular endorsement of him. Because the first endorsement of his leadership in Tonse Alliance was done by ECO himself in March 2025 by appointing him as his parliamentary affairs chairperson for Tonse Alliance. So the trust in BM is not only coming from the Tonse Alliance members. First, it is coming from President Lungu before he died, who appointed him as parliamentary affairs chairperson of the alliance. Number 3 is that BM has been a consistent and an honest presidential aspiring candidate in the PF. Over the years, it is not an afterthought decision that he has just popped up. Said, wow, because now you. So he's not like an accidental candidate. No, he has never done that. He has been on the ground. Go to our structures in the PF. Go to parliamentary grounds among the MPs. That's the most pronounced name, Brand Mondowira, as a presidential candidate for the PF. Even at the time when Mao Chavinga was taking PF in 2023 to the UPND, through that convention they had, BM had already paid 200,000 kwacha as a presidential candidate. He had expressed his interest, meaning he's self-driven. He has passion for the Zambian people and has a vision for the country. There's nobody popping him up. A Caesar is not one that is told, become a leader, jump on the throne. No, a Caesar is the one who looks at the throne and says, I would like to take over that throne for the following reasons. A David is the one who is invited. They have searched here among your brothers, able-bodied and handsome. None can be anointed king. You, we want you a king. He was approached somewhere back by parliamentarians, by ECO himself, contest. So he has been on the ground. In terms of political momentum, I don't think there is any presidential candidate in the PF that matches him. In all the 10 provinces and structures, he has the highest political momentum and support. At parliamentary level, there is nobody who can be compared to him in terms of endorsement. You saw the members of parliament that attended the General Congress for the Tonse Alliance. You saw when he did his nomination to compete at Tonse level, how many members of parliament, more than 40, congratulated him and supported him. You can't undermine members of parliament in terms of holding structures. You can't undermine council chairpersons, because these are the people that work with wards and the constituencies in their respective places. There is none among them who can match BM in terms of political support, political momentum, both in the PF, at parliament, and in the Zambian opposition. There is nobody. So he's the man of the day politically. Both for Tonse Alliance, he's the man of the day, even both for the Zambian opposition.